Yep.
All right, sounds like a plan. That being the case, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys. This is getting a chance to play Meet the Live Chicago is the kind of center stone of everything else that I've managed to do in the last year. All of the other stories that have spun out from the actions and the seeds placed here, and all of the lives that you guys have touched without even needing to, without even knowing that you have. I want to thank you. It's been a pleasure, and it is a pleasure. This is for the record officially Soup City Sins, Season 9, Episode 2. Call it a network. When we last left our coterie members, Dizzy had settled into a bit of Netflix and chilling without the connotations with her and Vivi as they watched Easy a classic from the lovely young Emma Stone. Was not quite as young anymore, but still a very defining actress of her time. And while Dizzy and Vivi enjoyed the early 2000s, not quite gross out comedy, not quite coming of age comedy, but a film that is explicated and explained biases. Hestia, Melinda, and Lucio garnered the support and interactions of a Mr. Walter Nash, a formerly very influential member of the Blue Bloods of the city, who had seemingly fallen on hard times and is one of those old high school jocks who relives their glory days as often and far too often for themselves. To bolster his own flagging sense of self, he's become a minor celebrity and local lord of the Metro and Smart Bar. And that is where he took them to party, to christen their voyage of finding those who have blackmailed him and potentially others throughout the city. Making it home after their night with the sun rising hard on their heat. This is Melinda's first opportunity to see what the shelter could be. This is another night, another instance where Hestia suffers the weight of her wards being turned on her. That energy, as always, must go somewhere. And unbeknownst to everyone, Lucio, having several conversations via text, call, rises early and makes his way. Everyone else would be so kind as to go ahead and give me a quick browse roll, and then we will begin in alphabetical order. Okay, so everyone's hunger raises a notch. The beast crawls ever closer to the surface. For some, that closeness is life-threatening. It is very much has turned the ferocity and potential death dealing of their existence into a very pointed blade. And the beast is digging beneath the wall and is cutting the razor wire and making its way across that wide verdant field of space and dizziness that we erect between our darker thoughts. And it takes a moment for Dizzy to realize that that is in fact the case, because while she has brought Vivi into this world due a sense of necessity, over the last nearly year, that necessity has turned into, for lack of better word, counting on Vivi to be around, even if just for a phone call or a text. if Dizzy was being honest with herself, she'd accept that she keeps Vivi as close as she does, so that she doesn't have to risk those moments and opportunities with either her brother or her mother. And while she doesn't face it and doesn't bring it up, doesn't address it, it is staring her bald-facedly in the eye at this moment as she finds herself standing over Vivi, who has finally crashed on the couch. And based on her breathing, you know that she's just fallen asleep within the last 2 hours, maybe last hour even. And it's clear that she has the night off. But the only thing that really tickles Dizzy's immediate, just beneath the surface thoughts, is the fact that Vivi could take it. Vivi could feed Dizzy 2 to 3 times a month without any undue symptoms arising. And with as much vitae Dizzy has spared for Vivi, that bright, beating carotid artery looks delicious as she peacefully, blissfully sleeps, mindless to the fact that Dizzy is as hungry as she has ever allowed herself, that her beast is as close to the surface as it could be without forcing her hand.
All right, yeah, well, it's been a long time probably since she's been this hungry. But there's a trust between her and Vivi that she's not going to violate. I mean, if she loses control, that's one thing, but she's not going to consciously violate that trust. So she's going to grab her keys and her jacket and head out and try to find some food somewhere, which shouldn't be terribly hard to do on a college campus.
Oh, it's not at all. The hookup culture, while it has died down since the late 70s to mid 90s, while it has gone nearly silent, it is never silent. There are hormonal bodies and developing minds who are finding themselves, and for most, it's not a case of what they like. It is a case of what they've been told they like. It is a case of defining how much of what they've been told they like, that they actually enjoy. Understanding that a preference is different than a bias, and that a bias is wrong, and so you have to push against it, and so you have to dive in. You may not like steamed Brussels sprouts, but what about if they were fried or oven baked or breaded and dipped in an egg batter? You have to try it a multiplicity of ways, multiplicity of times, to find what really keeps the engine revved. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your hunting roll? On the college campus, you're going to need 4 successes, but your looks do grant you a +1 die roll in this situation.
The hunger's talking to me.
Alright. Well, nothing is ever truly easy. It is the consequence of preparation, practice, execution, and various other statuses, and effects that conspire to make us believe that things are easy as pie. At least that's the common knowledge when it comes to preparation and planning, plotting, and developing, and the excuses used for the countless 100 hours of practice. But in this case, in this situation, it literally is easy. Dizzy doesn't believe in shitting where she eats, however, within walking distance, not the same thing. And as she's making her way across the courtyard to cut through the gangway to slip into the back door of the what center is that? The Stanislaus Center. She is all but verbally accosted, lifted up, licked all over, and put away wet. This slack-jawed, very definitively direct, borderline crass freshman is rolling the dice extraordinarily hard and is refusing to absolutely take no. His gift of gab is borderline impressive, and only borderline because he is using every cringeworthy line. Ironically, he is engaging her in open, direct conversation, making eye contact, asking to get a little closer, asking to cross those steps along the way, getting her to agree to let him closer, all without realizing that she is pulling him in. She is in fact the hunter and he the fish. Though when he tells the tale later, it's just the opposite. His perseverance, his drive towards success, overwhelming all hurdles in his path, and the stars were aligned, and before he knew it, now, the truth of that telling is he made himself a. He sought connection. He worked humor and was just quirkily interesting enough to immediately hit Dizzy's radar for someone that if she messes up, she can fix. He is clearly lonely. He clearly doesn't have as many friends as he thinks he does. He is clearly desperate for that contact, that connection. So desperate, in fact, that he was willing to make a complete and utter ass of himself. He was willing to be further ostracized, because all it takes is one wrong word in this day and age for word to spread. It wasn't different any other time. Now, information travels at the speed of light. If Dizzy had been one of Karen's minions, she was sure that this poor, misguided, deluded fool would have been the laughingstock of the school in a matter of a second. A few keystrokes, a selfie taken with him in the background, or worse yet, playing with his trust and bringing him into the picture. And his account would have been besieged. His social media footprint stepped over, balled up, and tossed away. If he was made out of slightly less dense material, he would try to stick out a year, another semester, and things would have only gotten worse. Luckily for him, instead of meeting that monster, he met Dizzy. And in meeting Dizzy, he is as close to death as he ever be. To be so kind as to roll resolve and composure. Your target number is in fact 3. If you fail, you will take more than the 2 that he can provide. Oh, dead on. It is with practice and skill that Dizzy manages to not drain him completely dry and lower her hunger to 2 instead of the 4 that has her ravening. She does so in an effort to save what of his life is left. Give him the opportunity for tomorrow. Give him a chance to not be who he is or who he sees himself as at this moment. His tale of victory will hopefully spur him on to finding a decent portion of himself to grow from. But if not, at least there is the opportunity for it. Versus him leaking away in a activity center, study hall, restroom. And as Dizzy slinks away, with him slumped in the restroom on the stall, remembering to have sealed the wound and disappeared amongst the press and throng of the other bodies. They jostle and jokingly take pictures and swap masks and swap books and share cokes and all the silly sort of craving attention and touch that have no ability to restrain themselves from. He slips out a little less hungry, a little more satiated, and turn our gaze to Hestia. Over the last year, there have been a multiplicity of kindred that have been brought into the shelter. There has been a multiplicity of kindred who have been allowed within the safety and security of the haven. The last member of the Chantry, the last Tremere that Hestia let inside the safety and security of the Chantry, almost killed him. It seems to be a pattern. And while almost is too close by far, and it was nowhere near as Sylvia and her pressing, sly, secretive attack and such, has just taken some steps in the last few months, in the last few portions of the year, to her own protections on the lab, her sleeping chamber, but still hasn't had the time necessary to do such a labor-intensive act. There is literally the preparation of bleeding her vitae over the course of a week to trail out the actual ward around the haven. To include the entirety of it, it would take at least a week's worth of vitae, bled and kept as hermetically sealed as possible, not to mention the actual undertaking of doing so, which would take at least a night or 12 hours to be exact, which means if she was able to spread it out over a course of a few nights, it would not be as tiring, not tap into as much of her personal stores of energy and leave her weak enough to be prey to anyone who so wished it. And that aspect would just stay in her hand, even as the headache that she awakens to is a very real and potent reminder.
Coming to awareness and rubbing their temple. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Fuck. Putting my feet down on the floor. Heading over to the shower, automatically just standing under the hottest water that they can manage. For about a good 10 to 15 minutes. And then stepping out, drying off, and dressing. Tonight they're going to take care to dress in dark shades. Darker than normal. Normally they'd put at least a splash of color or two into their outfit. But tonight they're going very cat burglar meets blade. So, take that as you will. Hair pulled up very tightly in a ponytail, and then wrapped into a bun, They grab a couple, head to their lab and grab a couple of their vials with the spiders in them and keep them on their hip in a little holster that they made for them. And just taking a deep breath, because thankfully the beast did not come roaring awake this time. The headache is getting to them, so they're trying to get to the library to meet up with everybody so they can head out and meet Walter if that's what they're still going to do this evening.
Making it to the library, which is the secondary meeting position for coterie as a whole, you guys have spent a considerable amount of time in the library and the meeting area, and the sad truth of it all is Hestia decides which area of the haven to wait for everyone to arise or to turn to alight to. You all spent almost twice that of either of those locations in the morgue, in the furnace area of the morgue, almost specifically. Even now that Hestia begins taking mental stock, there are still a few bodies that Alexa has not had the opportunity to retrieve that are staked inside the morgue drawers down in the sub-basement. And while the Hestia of as little as a year ago would immediately balk at the idea, because torpor, especially staked torpor, is another matter entirely. It's not the lucid dreaming, it's not the peacefully unaware, it is not being in a non-receptive, non-aware state. The sounds, sense, and God forbid if someone forgot to close your eyes, the light that filters in from movement is still there. You are aware of everything, whether your eyes are open in a cold, sealed drawer, or if you've been left in somewhere, essentially. You in torpor state are aware as to all of the information you are being bombarded with. There's nothing you can do. The body still rouses, still resurrects. Vitae is still used. There's nothing you can do. You are a prisoner. You are a slave to whatever accosts you. And as little as a year ago, it would have been incensing to Hestia. She would not have been able to stand it. She would not have been able to allow that to happen. Yet somewhere along the way, pragmatism of it overwhelmed her sensibility. So settling at the table, as Hestia settles in and contemplates many changes that have happened to, through, and around her. Melinda, there are very few instances that slept in a hotel or in a chantry over the course of the last few years. The idea of sleeping in a shelter was initially troubling until you got there. There's a 5-story tall building, a former hospital. Windows have been boarded from both outside and inside. No light that could breach any portion of the building. And Lucio and Hestia were kind enough to show you to an area that had been all but retrofitted into a minor apartment. There's an actual threadbare IKEA/Walmart style desk, something from Souter mixed with something from IKEA. There is a bed and a closet, and while usually not necessary because Kindred typically, especially if they don't flush the flesh, if they don't rouse the blood, don't emit any of the secretions that would cause clothing or otherwise to dirty. But there's a full-fledged facilities, bathroom, shower, bath, commode, all of the working things that one would need to freshen up. Hestia, in her inimitable way, also offered their share of clothing because they do run a shelter floor. Takes up the bulk of the southwestern quadrant of the building. The way into their shelter, to their haven, is actually through the managerial office. There were locks and things moved, and most importantly, at least for Melinda, there was the feel of being bombarded with electricity. Not actual electricity, but you can feel that hum even as death took her. That hum of power. It is like living next to a field of power lines, or living downwind of a slew of wind turbines, or resting atop a UV array that pulls in that photovoltaic energy and turns it into electricity. There is power pulsating through the very walls of this place. It is an unmistakable feeling. And Melinda wasn't the only one mentally aroused at the idea. Their eyes snap open, so too does the beast, who began gnawing on the innards of their being, kicking at the bars of the cage.
So is this the day after the party, or like, oh, we just got there?
This is the next day. The sun has set and risen, and you are inside the shelter's haven.
Melinda is going to just kind of like tell the beast to shut up. We got things to do. And we'll look in the... Like, is there a fridge in the room?
No.
Melinda will text Hestia and ask her about getting... if there is a cooler around with a bag that Melinda can get really quickly. She'll phrase it in the way of like, hey, is there anywhere in this house where I can get a juice box? Something. I want juice.
Are we out of the stock that Lucio had left behind from that one time we had the guests over, or do we still have any?
That's a good question. After all of these few weeks and all these ups and downs, there's a good chance that there may not be much left, if any. Let's give it a random chance. High or low?
Low.
And even or odd? Even?
Nope, I said odd.
Okay. Low and odd, and it is high and even. No, the stash of supply has been gone through. Luckily, in your associations with Lucio, there are several persons you know you can reach out to. There are several sources without dipping into the client of the shelter that you could reach out to. You'd have to use Lucio's name, of course, but there are several different networks of dealers who would be able to provide.
Hestia texts back a little short at the moment on juice boxes. Haven't had a chance to go to the grocery yet. If you're up for some fast food, we can pick something up on the way.
And Melinda responds,
And as you all are texting back and forth, we shift our gaze. Dizzy, who is making their way north to the Loyola campus. There is a peace in being satiated, but there's a wiry wariness that becomes more than second nature as the beast is closer to the surface. And even having cut the hunger in half, it is glimpsing and staring down, stalking students about their path and about their way. It, of course, as always, wants. But in that wariness, in that avarice of the, there comes that awareness of Dizzy's surroundings. Not that she's ever completely unaware, part and parcel of her time on the road, and part and parcel of living with the chaos of the shelter. And it's only settling on her now, after taking the bulk of the remaining evening, and after leaving them, that in the press and push of bodies and passers on the sidewalk in this moment on the Loyola campus, she realizes that she has never been quite as alone. The trust she has with Vivi, those moments make when they are not together, when not in creation, stand out all of them. It also stands out that, unlike usual, there aren't many eyes on her. Not many people marking her path of travel. There are not many people who are stalking her steps. That predation that has always existed just beyond reach, just there in the shadows of her vision, isn't there.
She would probably consider that a good thing, considering all the death that she's been involved with since she got to Chicago.
It's a weird thing to consider one's responsible for as many lives and have them have slipped through your fingers or been taken off of this coil because of your action. It's a lot. Soldiers usually go insane after a certain point, and that point moves for everybody. There's a point of no return where the idea of causing that much harm, that much death becomes too much to carry. It isn't often the people are aware of that line until crossed kind. But for Dizzy, those thoughts are never that far from the surface. Up until the disco, up until that last run, she, Andrea, and Gas, and Alston, Noe were able to outrun that threshold. They never had to stand their ground to fight for anything to call. They had to fight for escape. They never had to end anyone or anything except to escape. There was always the idea of get the road between you and your problems. Get the road between you and your paradise. Let the road take you where it would. Even with all the planning that was done, trying not to cover more than 60 to 100 miles a night, trying to never be too far from a gas station, trying to make sure that you understood what some of the traffic patterns were like. As you all crisscrossed the country, even with those preparations, there was always that semblance of rolling the dice and taking that chance. You never had to stand your against anything. You had to fight to escape. You never had to invest effort in what would be the ramifications of my actions, because the simplest, cleanest way to escape.
As this weighs on her, she kind of pulls out her phone and spins it around in her hand, debating maybe reaching out to her mother. Most of this guilt she's kind of pushed off by she's only done what she's had to do, or she's done it in the name of vengeance for her coterie, her old coterie, that is. But things have been changing, so maybe it's time to find some kind of peace with that.
And as Dizzy's contemplating reaching out to her mom, it's one of the most humanistic things. The idea of when in trouble, call, reach out to your parents, reach out to people that were foundational for you, that helped either through their actions or their inactions form the basis of that moral code. And then Dizzy's phone. Call is made before the texts are sent. And it's Vivi.
She's calling or texting?
She's calling.
That's unusual, so I will answer it.
Hey, Chica, you were gone. I didn't know. Sorry for falling asleep, but I just got called in. Doesn't seem usual. It wasn't so much a can you come in. It is we need you here within the hour. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Do you think you should go?
I'm not sure. I just got a bad feeling.
Maybe you should not go then.
Yeah, but I could lose my job if I don't go.
There's other jobs.
It's not like this, you know this.
Yeah, but it's only a matter of time before they're going to sniff you out, you know?
Okay, I think you may be right.
It may already be that time. Maybe that's why they're demanding your presence.
I know you're busy. I didn't want to trouble you, but I really too much. Too many people, you know? Check it that.
No, I just stepped out to get a bite to eat. I'm good now. What do you want to do?
I have the night off. Where are you? I'll meet you.
She tells her where she is.
Oh, that's not too far at all. Okay. Give me 11 and a half minutes. I have to pull my hair back. I didn't get a chance to shower. You know, the water heater. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
As she ends the call and you disconnect, there's an unfairness to that moment. You were just thinking along a similar line of reaching out to someone important. Reaching out when you are in doubt, someone foundational. And Vivi didn't call any of her innumerable cousins or aunties. Call them.
Now, with Vivi, you said it's been about a year since we've been together. I've been probably taking pains to not let her drink directly from me, which is supposed to make a difference. So I don't know how much has she changed as far as being subservient to me.
Initially, she was more subservient. As the year has grown on, while she's still stoic, and while you still have to occasionally work for those honest, open moments, she's grown less subservient. There is some pepper. There is some fire that you know was always there, but it is showing itself more often as time goes on. More of Vivi that isn't being held in reserve is coming to the more honest expressions without thinking on how they may hit. More of her unbridled, unbiased personality is shown when it is just Dizzy and Vivi. When they have those quiet moments and you get a chance to see her.
Dizzy would probably recognize that as a side effect of her blood too. She doesn't want to turn her into a mindless thrall, so...
And as the thoughts weigh, Dizzy shift to the library, where Hestia is exchanging texts with Melinda. Now, you understand that there's, of course, the way that you guys have retrofitted the upper floors of hospital, that there is some easy to develop confusion on getting from one place to the other, but you guys are texting from less than a floor away from each other.
Say Melinda is, as she's texting, like Hestia is like not walking down the stairs, but like texting on the way to the stairs, and would stop before we got to the stairs, so she could safely walk down.
So in movement is what you're suggesting.
Yes.
There is a paranoid mission statement. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. And that philosophy had gone completely and totally into the design and layout of the upper floor of the hospital. Certain stairways have been blocked off. Others have been removed. The elevator, which you can almost guarantee has some power to it, doesn't have any cars. It is a shaft of death. You can force the doors open, but as you have, because you heard the power or felt the thrumming energy, and realize that there's no elevator car. It is a shaft designed for. No. And the other stairwell is blocked off with debris, classically and purposely put there so that there is no way to dig through it without making all sorts of racket and hell. Not that you'd have to, you just need to find the original stairwell that they led you upstairs with. And then you realize that that's on the other end of the floor. That's the reason why they took the long way. Whoever designed the remodeling and the retrofitting of those floors, off book or not, designed it with the idea of purposefully confusing anyone who had not been here a multiple amount of time. People who had not frequented and who didn't reside here could easily get turned on themselves. Luckily, it's only one floor you got covered. It's not like you got to find that doorway through that office that you all entered into, racing the sun. But finally, the little work, it wouldn't take much more than expected, less than an exertion, and you find yourselves in a library. And not just any library. You look at the leather-bound tomes and realize that those are scrolls, those are grimoires, it is a library dedicated to the esoteric and mystical. And Hestia sitting at one phone in hand. And that pool of power is still there.
I applaud the layout of the computer floor. He's a masterpiece of confusion.
Simon was tactically smart, I guess, a genius in his own way. He laid out the floor, but it's almost redundant now because it seems... Never mind, don't worry about it. Before we go anywhere, I know you're hungry and I could probably use a little something too, but last night when we first met, with Juiceable near, I recognized your name, and I don't know whether you recognize mine or not, but we have people in common.
So yeah, remind me, what is your sire's name again?
Karen?
Karen? Okay. It's a lot easier than it just to remember that. Kiri, correct?
Yeah. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us, so I'm kind of by myself.
What's happened?
Well, originally I thought that both the tower and the chantry turned on her and allowed her to be killed for creating me. We were both supposed to die, but she hid me under the house when the fire happened.
When did this happen?
It's been years now. Actually, I've spent almost all of my unlife, save for maybe 2 to 6 months after I was first turned, without her. so it's been a long time. I still talk to her though.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes she's a little hard to pin down, but when she's feeling chatty, I've gotten messages.
Hey, how do you speak to the Slayer?
You don't feel it?
I suppose.
You're standing. The reason that I have fought so hard to keep this place that you're standing in is it's a ley line, a nexus gate, a fairly large nexus, actually, and there are others in the city that would take it and do harmful, horrible things with it. I found it by accident, but Karen has since pointed out to me through dreams what it is meant to protect this space, this moment in time. Can you see the other side?
The other side. I am. Very good at finding things that do not want to be found.
Do you trust me?
You're my cousin, I suppose.
So then Hestia stands and very carefully places their hand on Melinda's face. And she's going to bring up Sense the Unseen, but also share the senses. So that Melinda will see what she sees.
Okay, being as you are letting Melinda know and you ask for permission, Melinda, would you tend to resist or would you go with the growing sense of pressure?
Yeah, asked if Melinda trusted her. So Melinda would not resist. Melinda is not one to deny the opportunity to learn something.
Okay, excellent. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll resolve and awareness for me, please?
Alright. I do have Sense the Unseen. So that would be V. Five. 2 and then 0.
So you'll be 520. Or yes, you're
Yeah.
incorrect. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Oh. As Hestia's hand is against the side of Linda's face, she feels that pressure, that attenuation that she feels every time she attempts to stare into the near Shadowlands, into the near dreaming, into that facet of the many exist outside of our butt and lay against our own, in those places where the veil, wall, the hedge is thin, and those things, those entities from the other side can slip through. That pressure builds, unlike when she attempts to do so after preparing herself, after meditating, after holding very closely to that sliver back to the mentally, this is an explosion of that attenuation as Hestia's eyes gloss over and look very much like the orbs of some dead corpse, those light cataracts sitting there obfuscating her deep browns. Melinda's eyes mirror Hestia's, but there is something. That moment when you're heading up the track, heading up the hill, heading to the highest on a roller coaster, because there's a you're not sure how quick it will happen or how exhilarating it will be, but your heart begins to beat, your pulse begins to race because you know that there's a fall coming. You are able to brace yourself and not have your heart leap out of your chest. You're able to trigger the fight and flight response safely. You're not able to hit that 10 because you know that it's coming. And as exciting as it is, you know that it has been designed predominantly with the idea of your safety. You won't go flying, things won't, if everything operates perfectly. In this situation, you don't know where the hill is. You don't know where the fall happened. And as Hestia channels very energies in this air around you, you have never before stared into the abyss without a guardrail in place. You've never before stared into the other world, the other side of everything, without having had time to prepare. This is a swirling, miasmic vortex of spirits and souls, and things that never were, and things that had once been. There's an overlay of several different iterations of what this place may have been in the physical, and this ghostly shadow overlaid on top of each other as you pierce the veil between this world and the next. The shambling hordes exist here, some at peace, some angrily miming, others in their state of dying, others still facilitating between how they looked when alive and how they died. And you can see the power line that was humming in the background since you've entered into this place. And because of your ability to hang on to your sanity, you are able to understand just how immense the raging whitewater rapid of mystical energy this place houses.
When I feel like she's gotten a fair enough understanding of what it is I mean, I very slowly withdraw and bring myself back to the other side, dropping, share the senses, and then pulling away, sense the unseen. Kind of like shivering myself out of it like a bird settling their feathers.
Very interesting. Wunderbar.
Interesting, yes. Powerful, very much so. But also very scary and very magnetic towards things that like power. Have you ever heard of the connection between lupines and the dead?
Say again?
Lupines, like werewolves, and the dead.
They believe we are evil incarnate. They wish to wipe us from the earth.
We, yes, but spirits.
Oh, yes. They believe The dead themselves hold wisdom. They listen to their ancestors.
Yeah, and the fact that we, as we are sitting on a wealth and split point between what is and what isn't draws them to this place, but due to the treaty that was in place, they can't take it by force, which partially I'm very thankful for. And I'm also a little worried for the day that something happens and that treaty is broken. It almost happened last night, I would think, because unfortunately Dizzy found themselves in Dalton somehow, and I don't know the whole story there because we haven't gotten to talk about it, but they were being chased by werewolves. I saw it. And I had every intention on going to rescue them, potentially killing or being killed, I don't know, whichever came first, but hopefully it would be killing rather than being killed. You're probably going to hear some weird rumors, or you probably already heard some weird rumors. We were in Dalton once before, and technically we weren't supposed to be there, but while we were there, we did manage to save some higher ranking members of the Camaria's life during a attack. And during the middle of this attack, of this burning down of a club that we were at, we fell into a hole. And that hole led to a hallway. And in the hallway was a werewolf of significant age and infirmity. So they by no means were at their full strength at all. And even that, they killed so many of us. I don't know what made me do it, but I had had enough and I rushed in, and thankfully Lucio and the others had my back, and we managed amongst all of us to bring it down and kill it. Stupidly, because my curiosity got the better of me, we brought the body back here. And oh man, did that set a ball of snow rolling down the mountain that we are still dealing with. But I learned quite a bit about werewolf anatomy that evening. So, needless to say, killing a sick and old werewolf is a lot different than killing a baby, brand new, full health one. But I was willing to go do it because Dizzy was in trouble, and I had no other thoughts than to rush in and save them. That's just the shit we get into around here. So if you're gonna be here, you have to understand we do stupid shit for each other. That's just the nature of us. We've lost several members and gained others, and still do our damnedest to fuck things up and attempt to rescue each other when we're in trouble, successfully or otherwise. Tessie just kind of shrugs. Now that you've seen it, though, cousin, you understand what I'm protecting. So if you would like to help me with that, I would appreciate it, because while I am fairly strong on my own, I'm sure, I'm still me. Still fallible, still alone in what I can do. Crucible trusts you, and I don't know why the hell he still trusts me, but apparently he felt like we could make a good pair. She just kind of shrugs and, let's go see about getting you something to eat. I don't know where Lucio is. He tends to wander off sometimes, and I hate when he does it, but I guess I'll text and see if there's any news as to where he might have gone. We might have to do this thing with Walter without him.
Melinda will put her hand on Hestia's shoulder. Now these it is interesting. In El Paso, the most interesting thing that happened there was I was for everything. I was almost in the region. And then they all came. And those of us that could run away survived. And before that, me and Basil survived Prague. I assume, like, Hestia knows about, like, the thing that happened with, like, the Prague chantry. And, like, with, like, Clan Bane and everything that it led to. Survived Prague. Survived El Paso. And now I'm here in Chicago. Present. And I really want a science teacher. Really what I need. Okay.
Hestia smirks. Well, how about a award-winning, often hermetic botanist who's maybe a little eccentric?
You know what? If it's science, I will take it. Especially if we can get them, like, ranting about their science. All the better.
Okay, then remind me when we have some time, which will probably be never, to show you around my greenhouse. But again, yeah, in the meantime, we should probably head out and I'll see if Dizzy is doing anything as well. I'd just like to make sure that we keep track of everybody, hopefully. So, yeah. And then Hestia will lead Melinda kind of back the way they came through the office, making sure to throw the locks and put everything back in place so that the kind don't realize what's really sitting right there.
As you're leaving, Amalia makes her way towards you. And as she opens her mouth to begin speaking, We will be back at 3 after the hour. Take a quick 10 minutes and see you shortly. Hello. Everyone back?
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah, back. I'm just gonna run and get some water, though. I thought I remembered everything.
Okay. That definitely works. Alright, so while everyone gets settled in and dialed in, Dizzy, as you wait and loiter in the general area for Vivi to arrive, doesn't take long, and true to her word, it is literally just hitting the 11-minute mark, and up she appears on the near edge of the little causeway that you're on, heading through north across the campus. Bundled as she is, very light chill in the air, it is obvious that a portion of you is rubbing off on her. Or perhaps it's always been and you just haven't had time to notice, because there haven't been many quiet times over the last 9, almost a year of time that you've all spent in each other's company. It's a little disconcerting to think that there's so much about Vivi that you have not noticed, and there's so much about you that she has absorbed through the magic of the blood. And while it's not a one-way or one-sided relationship or engagement, that guilt in being such an important person in Vivi's life rears its head.
Well, again, she didn't seem to have a whole lot of other people in her life when I profiled her, so...
No, she didn't. And knowing now that it was a purposeful choice because she was preparing mentally to potentially die on this chaotic quest to find what had become of her brother. Knowing that, or figuring out what it is he has figured out, is there any guilt? Is there any bit of this or that that sits there? Is there any additional guilt?
Probably a little bit, but at the same time, it's easy to rationalize as if it wasn't for me, she wouldn't have anybody.
That is a very apropos rationalization. And as she catches up, Chico, Sorry it took so long. Got a little held up. I gotta get you better shampoo.
I mean, it's not a thing for me anymore.
Yeah, but you should still treat yourself. Every once in a while, a nice hot shower. Plus, as much leftover body parts you deal in, you should probably take better care.
I mean, I love a good shower, but I mean, yeah, shampoo and conditioner not so much a thing anymore.
Then it's very good you have me. What would you like to do? I am off, and I will probably not have to be at work ever again. It is unfortunate that I won't be able to steal more intelligence, but intelligence, continued living, that Dianetics pulled into a corner and talked to until you begin to see things their way, I can live with. At least I hope I can.
Survival is always important. So what I want to do is not run into Genghis. I don't want to deal with Lucio having a temper tantrum. I'd prefer not to kill anyone. Other than that,
You told me about Genghis, but I've never met him.
yeah, you don't want to.
And Lucio, well, you know, that's Arsenio's buddy, so it's not that bad, and I haven't seen him behave in a way that's horrible. Sure, everybody has bad days, bad weeks. I'm sure somewhere, someone is even having a bad life, but it's not every day. Not all day.
He's alright. He's just always wound up like a barbed wire yo-yo.
That is bad, my friend. That is very, very bad. Did you know that yo-yos were weapons? And when I found that out, I found that very laughable.
Did you know that in Dalton, when you claim to have invented the yo-yo, no one cares?
You're not that old, right?
No, not really not that old.
So we have a low threshold, and I showed you one of my favorite movies growing up. I already ate, unfortunately, and you probably should not eat for a while. You don't get pudgy, but you get a little baby food, food baby.
It's all good. I ate already.
So, if you're rambling as you were getting ready for bed to do your thing for the day is any factor with such a low threshold, I'm taking it that we're not worried about the body at Lucio's sister.
Maybe they didn't do anything. Of course they didn't do anything with it. I don't know. Is that my problem? I mean, I get that it's our problem, but is it my problem and our problem?
Well, if it were me and I hadn't cut ties with my family, I'd go make sure that my cousin has cleaned up some of the area after a party. They had a party and they had people, and you left them a gift, you left them a present, you left them Arsenio, and you left them a dead body.
I mean, I didn't leave them the dead body. I was actually kind of pissed that we left a dead body.
Did you pick up a garbage bag and take it with you?
Well, that's not real convenient to just walk around the street with a garbage bag with a dead guy in it.
It is not convenient, but you know, you were at the party, you did have an opportunity to have a couple of drinks, a couple of smokes, and I don't know why you would mention it, but if the ashtray was as cool as you say that it was, maybe it deserves Maybe not the whole body, maybe an arm or a couple of feet in the bag, and you throw it out on your way away.
I'm not saying you don't make a good point, but then there's like this whole gray area. Because like if I go over there by myself, then Lucio's going to be all butthurt. Oh, why are you around my sister again? Well, I'm cleaning up your fucking mess.
Why does he have to know? And if he gets hurt for you doing the right thing, it's a teachable moment.
But is it though?
Yes, always clean up behind yourself.
Teachable moments only occur when people are willing to learn.
You're not union. You don't have tenure. Them learning is not part of your job. Just teaching. If they absorb, fine.
I mean, teaching's not part of my job either.
But you do it so well.
My job was always to smooth things over and be pretty and lure the food. I'm good at those things.
Well, you'd be smoothing the situation over. You'd be luring more food, because if they're not going to be there and he's going to make them move into his little condo, his bachelor pad, probably be so that they clean up behind him, if I know anything about big brothers. But still, it'll be a free apartment. You can even afford it yourself. Didn't you say that they were paying really cheaply for it?
Well, yeah, because Greasy owns it. It is really, I don't even want to like be on the same block as that guy, let alone live in his house.
Well, you say you have to live there. You just bring food back there, make it really hot for him, make it really difficult for him. Because how long are you going to stay beneath the radar? Really? Isn't he too old for that?
I don't know really anything about him other than the fact that he thinks that he's a hero in a Scorsese film.
If I must be honest, I never liked The Godfather.
It's a hit or miss with a lot of people. There's not really a lot of gray area on that one. People love it or hate it.
I don't hate it. I just find it boring. Like in the beginning, when he kills the cop and he kills the other guy, the drug dealer, why not just kill all of their friends too? He ended up doing it anyway 14 hours later. So when you kill the cop and you kill the drug dealer, kill all of the people that were backing them up, done, over with. Then you don't have to go to Italy. You don't have to have another person blow up. You don't have to have your father die or your brother die.
But it adds to the drama.
24 hours to do 3 things. Kill the cop, kill the drug dealer, kill their friends and associates. 14 hours to do 3 things. That is way too much time.
Sometimes you just have to pace yourself.
He was young. He wasn't yelling like he today. He also wasn't jumping rope with Adam Sandler. She made everything short, sweet, to the point. There's no need for no sequel.
They don't make sequels because they need to. They make sequels because they make money.
If The Godfather didn't make the sequels, they wouldn't have made more sequels. They wouldn't have made remakes. It wouldn't have been a big thing. I wouldn't have had to look at some girl's ass in a car for 35 hours while Shia LaBeouf screams.
Okay. So you want to go move a dead body is what you're saying. That's what you want to do with this evening.
I'm just saying, if the apartment is as nice as you say, and Lucio's going to make them move out of the apartment anyway, and there's a dead body in the closet with Arsenio, the least we could do is help Arsenio. Let's course he was being an asshole. Was he being an asshole to you too?
No, he was all right, but he can't possibly still be there.
I've talked to the man. There is very little that he would not do for Luke.
Yeah, but why would he still be there?
To keep anybody else from finding out.
All right, let's go save Arsenio then.
Yes. I always want to see what the apartment looks like. You make it sound like it was the best thing. Living next
You're
to
not.
him.
You're not banging him, are you?
No. Why would I do that?
I don't know, because you seem very interested in Arsenio.
There's nobody else who has the same relationship that I do. With
No, I get the two of you are in a pretty exclusive club, but at the same time, you're all Arsenio this, Arsenio that. You know, just
he likes guns. He has a good contact network. Despite him being a little slow on the uptake for a lot of things, he's actually a pretty smart guy. He has a similar training to where I was, except for the computers. But in counterinsurgency, in strategic driving, in even shooting, he's pretty close to me. We have an understanding, and I kind of like him as a friend. He would be a good guy to know. Even though he's a very bad guy, did you know that he set up a kidnapping that he's still being, well, up until he left, his family was still being paid for today? 15 years.
Yeah, they're not good people. Well, most of us aren't good people. You'd be hard pressed to find any of us who it may have been a good person before, but we certainly didn't remain it afterwards.
I think that's the problem. You guys said that makes you not a good person, but I've not seen you do anything horrible. And as much as he talks about his glory days, even that, he was doing a job.
Well, now you've helped me clean up something horrible granted, that was largely not me. I was a part of that, but I was kind of on the sidelines, but still. Blood splatters. It's on everyone's hands.
It does, but just being honest, I don't see that as a bad thing. You wage war. You have to be prepared for death. If you don't think that people are going to die when guns come out, or worse yet, when you all come out together, the end all be all is that something and someone is going to die. Being prepared for it.
They brought that shit to us. I mean, whatever happened there, but it wasn't a good thing.
Why not? You were defending home. There's nothing nobler. It's even in our Constitution.
Because we could use our words like adults. Some of us are old enough to be like adults many times over, but no, we have to resort to violence. Why?
Verbal violence and physical violence. Of the two, verbal violence is, you get punched, you can walk it off, you see a bruise, there's something you gain from that moment. You lose a limb, there's something you gain from that moment. At least that's the way certain officers thought, certain soldiers thought. You gain something from it, even if it's something that you lost in the process. Verbal violence, emotional violence, it leaves scars that no matter what, you didn't gain anything from. Every time you tongue lash someone, that is a moment they can never get back, nor a moment they can actually find closure. Physical violence, you get a bruise, it heals, you know you survived it. Everything else.
Yeah, there's like 38 dudes that got shoved in an incinerator that night that disagree with you.
They went to war and they didn't come home. Why is that a bad thing? You go to war with somebody, you should be prepared for the outcome.
Because a lot of those guys probably don't even know what they're fighting for. They just want to belong to something. They didn't believe in the cause. They just went along to get along.
I think maybe one of us has got the raw end of the deal. Like, when I signed up, when I enlisted, I knew what I was getting. I knew how bad it could be. Did anybody tell you how bad it could be when you died?
No one told me shit. I got shoved in a car, and then that was the end of me.
Maybe that's the problem.
I sure as fuck am not going to Disneyland again.
We have Great America.
I'll tell you the whole story sometime, but let's go save Arsenio. And I don't care if you're banging him or not. I was just asking. You bang him, not bang him, I don't care. But I think Hestia's got some eyes for him, so that could be, I don't know, catty, I guess.
No, Hestia's a good girl. And I think she'd be okay with sharing if it got to that point. I don't think she likes him as a person. I think she likes him as a tool. Like a walking vibrator.
Well, that could be a thing too, but sometimes a lot of us are very territorial, so...
But no, I would not sleep with Arsenio. I got too much. He's been too well used. Did he tell you about how he lost his virginity?
No, because I didn't ask him.
That makes sense. We were keeping watching you guys in the when we first got guns together. And we were talking about these two girls who used to live up the street. They were twins. They were 3 years older than him.
Well, that's certainly notable.
I think that's why he imprinted on being such a... What did they say? A raccoon penis is what he called them. He will fuck up some garbage all day long and leave the mess for someone else to clean up. It's amazing how emotionally sensitive party is. Maybe some counseling. You know, Theus offers counseling classes.
Yeah, I bet they do. I bet they do. Hey, speaking of which, and assuming that we are not in around a whole bunch of people, she will slide the gun out of her jacket and be like, what the fuck is this? I know it's not normal.
No, this was a prototype. Only 15% of the officers, they like it a lot.
Well, it is extremely effective. I'm glad that I did not get shot with it that night.
No, you're lucky. It only lasts typically 5 months, and then you need to recalibrate. But most of the officers have only fired it on the test range. They miniaturized everything.
Maybe they should hire me as a consultant because I've fired it not on the test range.
Oh no, they got rid of it being a mechanical combustion, and they solidified it down to just the shell itself, not the combination of the shell and the firearm. And it's a phosphorus, some gas that acts as a delivery agent, and it causes what this does on a smaller scale, reliably, be destroying collateral, just the target.
Huh. So I've had this longer than I've known you, so you're saying it's probably not good anymore? It has been a while since I've shot it.
Yeah, you're taking your chances. They say that it might, have a catastrophic failure.
Huh.
You haven't fired it more than 10 times in that amount of time, have you?
I don't know how many times I've shot it. I don't know, 5, 6 times maybe.
8.
I don't dispute 8, but she has no idea in character how many times she knows that she's killed like 3 people with it. Other than that, or killed 3 people directly with it. She shot the cars and killed a bunch of people with that. But
Yeah, it's typically good for about 10 fires before a catastrophic failure. Luckily, it hasn't killed its user, but it's come very close. You could probably survive it. You're already dead anyway.
maybe I'll give it to Genghis.
That would be. And then we shift back to Amalia. Hey, Hestia, he says, her ever-present cigarette dangling out of her mouth. And she looks at Melinda. Oh, is it a new client or one of the volunteers?
New volunteers, and you know how I feel about the cigarettes in the building, Amalia. I love you to pieces, but
I wanted to tell you, you know that shelter that opened down just south of here?
what shelter?
The one that was opening up a couple of months back. Part of DICE outreach program. The one the crazy hype guy. The guy that was clearly still strung out said he was Adamo, Ajax.
Yeah. Okay.
He had done some scouting, saying about their breakfast and all of this and all of that because it was so close to McDonald's. But there's a coalition of independently owned outreach and shelters. They're doing a dinner in a few weeks, and they want to give me an award and let me help them prepare a menu. And I look, I have not lived as long as I have and had to chew my words like this. Would you go with me?
It's kind of an honor that you would ask me. I mean, they're giving you an award, and I definitely appreciate you working with me. Okay. Just let me check and see my schedule is clear that night, but I'd love to accompany you and see what this other place was about. No, definitely.
Yeah, it's not them, but because of them, there's been a joining forces. A lot of the independently owned have started working with each other and doing little things with each other. Like I introduced a manager at the Yaorian shelter to Lucius, and then they introduced me to their backdoor supply guy. Donnell has got all the information in the office. Actually, she looks at Melinda, then takes a step closer. Little Trump. I don't want to rat him out or anything. I think the stress is getting to him. It's only happened twice, but it's never happened. Maybe you guys should, I don't know, talk to him. Since the night the little crazy chick took us out. And, But anyway, yeah, that's all I wanted to talk to you about. Nice meeting you. What's your name is?
Melinda.
Not my Linda. How about your Linda?
Mine.
Melinda, it's a joke. This is Amalia. And Amalia, this is Melinda.
I was joking too.
We're gonna get along fine. What do you know about food?
But what?
What do you know about food? Trying to figure out
Food?
whether I'm able to pull you into the kitchen every once in a while. Yes, from time to time. Not like we used to last year and the year before and the year before that, but we just still get swamped. We have people that don't even attend our shelter who swing by for our twice a week open meal period. So
I will be honest. My skill set in that regard is much more front of house. I can help in the placemats.
You another
Yes,
goddamn Faye. That girl don't do nothing but puts. Anyway, okay, fine. We can use all the help that we can get when we get busy. It's nice meeting you. Y'all have a nice night and getting around without doing any real work or helping poor old Amalia in the kitchen by herself with all these idiots who can't. And she's walking away.
Hey! Don't you give me that. God, she is so sassy. She's right though. I think I need to get her some help in the kitchen. Problem for another day. I think
When Amalia walks away, Melinda looks at Hestia and says, "Once upon a time, my family was noble. I was not taught kitchen. I was taught run household. That bit of shelter I can do."
Well, if you have any administrative duties, then you could probably help them now. But I understand it's mostly a cover that we're actually probably not really going to do much work here because we're out doing other things. But when we are here, we should probably maintain the semblance of being people that volunteer and run a shelter. And unfortunately, I'm not pretending because I still have to run the shelter. Oh, God.
I can administrate.
Alright, let me go make talk to Danelle and check to see if there's any messages in the front desk, and then we'll go and head out. Do you have Dizzy's number? The girl that you were with last night, the blonde?
No.
Do you her number?
No.
Yeah, and then I give Melinda Dizzy's number, and then I go to talk to Nanelle.
Yeah, Melinda will text Dizzy and say, "Hey, my caps lock was all whack. This is Is that? Me. And. Yeah. He and Hestia, were hoping to meet up.
It's taking a step away as Melinda begins firing off text and stumbling through it because she's trying to balance out 3 different languages to send a message, partially because
English is her fourth.
there's a wealth of languages competing for release. And as that's happening, Hestia steps away to operational area where Donnell and Sebastian are busy planning the delivery and sleep schedule and these times that they need on shift. And it is clear from the bleary-eyed diligence Donnell that while he is not currently in his cups, while he is not currently drunk, that he is currently
Did we lose you? Because you got quiet.
Can you not hear me?
No, I didn't hear the last part. Now I can hear you, yeah, but I didn't hear.
And while he is not currently drunk in his cups, he is currently hung over.
Normally, Lady Hestia likes to be a really nice, very sweet and understanding boss. But right now, the fact that Amalia noticed and that it's been going on for a while, she's feeling a little petty tonight. So she goes up to Donnell and puts on this huge, bright smile and over loudly, "Evening, gentlemen."
Sebastian, of course, responds with his almost bookish, "Oh, Miss Green!" And Donnell crosses his arms across his chest, squinting through the clear pane of the raised.
She meets his eyes and gives him a very much, "I did that on purpose and you know why" look. But then greets Sebastian. "So, how are things since you've been getting to know the place? Is everything going well?"
Sebastian, give us a minute, okay? Sure thing, Mr. Richardson. Miss Green, if you guys need anything, just get going. As he squeaks away, pulling the door closed behind him, Donnell sits, and it's clear that he was only standing to keep Sebastian from realizing how much pain Let me guess. Was it Stella or was it send you?
No, Stella's got her own thing going on, and that'll be handled later. But right now, we're talking about you.
Yeah, what about me?
You understand the thing about the people that come here. You understand them more than I do sometimes. And if they are coming here fighting their own addictions and their own demons, the people that are supposed to keep them safe should not be also fighting similar demons.
Yeah, well, I don't drink on the clock. When I'm on duty. And I actually have not come to work impaired. In pain. Sick. Understaffed. Dealing with whatever the hell monsters, thugs, gangsters, insane, angry police you bring down on us. Never come to prepared.
So what would you call what you are right now?
Oh, the fact that I perhaps should have been and be physical therapy for having my leg punctured with a steel rod and broken into places defending this place.
I gave you an out. I asked you what you wanted to do after all of that. I told you.
What sort of coward do you think I am? You think I'm
It's
gonna
not
run?
about cowardice. At all. Now, if you can't stand being here, why be here? I need somebody that is going to be okay being here and not bitter about being here and not upset about being here and not in pain being here.
I'm in
It's
pain
not
because
about
I
the
was
money.
here. I'm not resentful of the job. I'm resentful of lies.
Who's lying to you?
Resentful you.
What?
Mr. Sorochi, who don't come around, and Faye,
Fine.
Stella, that blonde chick, Dizzy, that detective that used to sniff around here asking everybody questions, who now breezes out like he owns the place, because I'm sure he probably does in some way with you. The short, furry, bearded, crazy guy that just up and disappeared. He spent a lot of time talking to the aggro crazies who were into all of the science shows and 2 steps from having a wonderful heads. Just disappeared. The motivational speaker that used to work with Celia from time to time. Mr. Moore. I've seen him around this town since he left here. That Latina girl, or Lucius's nephew, who just up and vanished. Miss Green, I'll play dumb. Long as it takes. And after a while, I gotta stop playing. I at least gotta know why I'm playing. Don't tell me your secrets. You and all of your friends keep the whatever it is you're doing to yourselves. That's fine. I can only guess. But when it comes out, because it always does, I'm not covering for anybody. I damn well do know that you are. But I ain't seen no proof of it, so I can't say much.
For the first time in a while, she's almost a little speechless, but she's staring at him. And her jaw is tightening and untightening. And there's things falling into place in her head. And she looks at him and she's like, you know what? You're right. I've been lying to you for a very long time. But it's to keep you safe, because if you knew half of what I have found out and what I've lived through and kept this shelter from seeing and being put through, you would lose what small bit of sanity you might just have left. But if you want to know, if you really, really want to know, oh sweetheart, we could have a talk, and I will tell you everything. But then don't say I didn't warn you with whatever comes next.
If that's a genuine offer, I'll take you up on it. You know what time I get off tonight, and I'll be here until Celia comes in and leave me. What you gotta do, I'll get our schedules in line. You hear about this stupid independent shelter?
Yeah, there's one over here, and then there's this coalition apparently forming of other shelters, and I have a feeling I know who else is tied into it, but I'll wait and see if I'm right or not. Molly wants me to go with her to get her award, and she deserves it very much so, but I'm mostly going to keep her safe because I have a bad feeling.
At least somebody listens to me. She wasn't gonna tell you how she felt about you. She was asking you out.
Wait, what?
Are you really gonna play dumb? I'm a master at it, so I see it in everybody. Purposely ignoring how she looks at you, specifically you. You're gonna ignore the fact that outside of me, she fights hardest. You're gonna ignore the fact that it literally takes chasing her out of here some mornings so that she doesn't have to be here when your friends come crawling back after a night of whatever it is how she makes sure that there's always some herbal tea going, since you said that you didn't drink the juice and soda we had for everybody else. You tell me you didn't pay attention to the fact that she does little things to get your attention, like always smoking without ever lighting the cigarette inside the building. The fact that she quit smoking 3 years ago, but she keeps one around so that she can light up when you're nearby. So she has something to do with her hands and her mouth. You tell me you didn't notice all that, or you just purposely didn't notice all that?
Can knock Hestia over with a feather because they legitimately never took it that way. They legitimately never noticed any of what was just mentioned because they're just not wired thinking that way, I guess you would say. And it's literally caught them off guard. They sitting there, eyes as wide as an owl, blinking at Donnell, jaw dropped, and then pull themselves together and no, there's no way. No. No. Oh my god. I don't need time to think about this because I don't. The conversation's over. They need to sort Donnell out later, but for right now, they are beelining the F away because it's like being chased by the hounds of hell. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to deal with it. There's too much going on. Practically like run past Melinda and out the door.
So Melinda, as you get those texts back and forth from Dizzy, Hestia comes beelining towards you and moving past you. Do you follow in step, or do you pause and wonder what would drive her out of the building as if her hair was on fire?
Melinda follows. She's like, what? Ooh. Hestia, Dizzy says, you know where she is. Going to go save, E.
Crap. Does he need to be saved? Oh.
I don't know, but apparently... hold on. She sees, he in, washroom. No.
For the second time in the last 10 minutes, Hestia looks very much dumbfounded for such a smart person.
Nothing.
Okay. I guess we should go find out what that is. We have time before we're supposed to meet Walter.
Melinda will show Hestia the text.
Oh. Well, yeah, let's go handle that first, and then we'll go see Walter. We have time. But we should probably get you something to eat first. Oh, so many things. They're going to take Hestia's car this time because obviously the Cadillac's crushed and they can't get with Arsenio. And waiting for Ubers takes too long, so they're going to take the Toyota. But I'm definitely going to do the whole make sure we are not followed this time as we head back towards the second mission.
Okay. As the driver, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your Wits Plus drive? And as the passenger, would you go ahead and roll your Wits Plus Streetwise? And while that roll is happening, getting from Loyola to River North, there of course are a myriad of ways. Would you take Vivi's car or would you take public transportation? Car requires parking. Public transportation requires risking your safety. There are still very real armies and gangs of Nosferatu and worse that declare certain cars their own domain, free of predation by kindred.
Probably take Vivi's car, even though parking could be an issue. It's just easier.
The drive down is peaceful. There is a peace and quiet that comes from being in the vehicle that is A, either not stolen, B, solely in people that you actually know, not some random hired driver, and C, the fact that it is her car, you see an immediate difference in the way that she drives versus driving the shelter van that was a few times or driving obtained vehicles those few times, or God forbid the time you all ended up facing off against McTavish and the way she drove then. But this is her car. It's her car that's insured to her name, and it is a completely different trip. It is not a person's delivery. You guys are inserted behind enemy lines, taking fire. No, this is actually good standard American Midwestern driving, which means yes, there have been about 5 different cutoffs that you've done. There have been party to. There's the standard, even at this hour, rage of people that need to be just there, and they're being exactly in front of 5 miles slower behind them. This is peaceful for the Midwest. This is peaceful for Chicago. This means that instead of it taking almost an hour to get down to the area, it takes just about 35-40 minutes. Something about the area immediately triggers goes after images and the feelings that have become part and parcel of most of your nights. From the succubus, you will almost killed Laura Blakeney. That madcap damage you all caused that night. Amongst many other traipsing And strangely enough, there's parking. You guys are directly Grubhub Dash or Instacart people have when they're picking up orders, and you can see the subterfuge without even intending to get in. Then they're here to pick up an the kitchen, and if someone, if anyone is dumb enough to leave, they're gonna make their way through the building and find his restroom, fly closet, and they're going to camp out with their phones until the real party starts, until the later night crowd begins, and the succubus, instead of being just a small kitchen service, being in full, and with the cover price being $45 for men, for women, it's no wonder why people would take as many chances as they could to obviate that charm.
Wow, look at the parking we got. Tonight's gonna suck.
Why do you say such thing? This is a really good parking spot. And I did really good. I didn't even rep the tires.
That's why I say that, because we got a really good parking spot, which means we're gonna be karmically fucked for the rest of the night.
No, karma is not so bad as long as you make sure to drag someone else along.
Alright, well, Hestia and the new girl are coming, so I guess we'll wait for them.
This is a good thing. Plus, we get the people watch. And she lets down her window and immediately she lights up a cigarette. But you do realize that in all the time of you knowing her, she smoked less in this. As if she's attempting to offset something, or perhaps potentially beginning to.
You like this thing that you've become, don't you? You're feeling immortal now, huh?
You have so many jokes. That's your thing. I'm just gonna be me for a very long time. So why should I be me? Having to scrub up my teeth. They owe money, right, to hide the smoke.
I mean, you're just piling that damage on for the day that comes when maybe we don't have a relationship anymore, and that's all going to catch up to you. I mean, I'm not judging. You do what you do. I smoke too sometimes, but I don't know. I just, you just seem to be having a good time with it. I mean, that's not a bad thing.
It is not. It is better than.
Been getting old and everything hurts. Yeah, I agree.
No, for a very long time I looked forward to that. I came to the understanding that in truth, without you, without this thing that there's very little chance of me actually. You don't get it. My brother he is, because I don't want to really believe that he's gone. In my heart of hearts, I know. But my brother was a hero. He put bad people away. He fought the monsters, and usually won, at least until the last time.
Yeah, there's always a bigger monster.
Yeah, but he wasn't a monster. He was a pillar. You know how everyone says you get your flash once you die? That was very true between He inspired me so much. He inspired me to go to the service. He inspired me to apply myself. He inspired all of my better demons and not my worst angels. And so this, me, it's a way that just a little I can embrace that aspect of it. I can do good things no matter how bad I have to do.
It's important to hang on to that, to hang on to your ideals and anchor them. Because this world is going to force you to question everything eventually. Everything about yourself, who you thought you were, who you wanted to be. If you don't have some sort of root in who you know you were and who you knew you wanted to be, then it's all just gonna get flushed right down the fucking toilet.
It's funny you should say that. I watched your friend Gricio's house once you died for the day.
Yeah.
There was nobody there. I expected guards, dogs, cameras, razor wire. They didn't have anybody there. No maid, butler. None of the trappings that most people have to show up. Just two little cameras.
Those two little cameras might be enough. You may have something set up that isn't obvious. Or he could just be so arrogant that he thinks he's above needing it. But I would probably go with the first one. He can't possibly be that stupid and have gotten where he is.
I don't know. It seemed really quiet. That's very much unlike people that are around there. But you know, I only tell you this because you're back tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow. That's enough. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch again. Now I'm figuring this out. Practice another this so that we can get the information from as to who's responsible for his disappearance. And I want you to use all of your Jedi mind stuff to make sure that that happens.
I will do the best that I can, though I can't force him to do anything.
I'm sure you're just underselling. I've seen you do things no one should be able to. And I watch the faces of your friend and know that not even they are able to.
I have a way with people, but I can't make them do things that they are adamantly against.
So the trick is making sure it is something that he likes. And I take it that he's a bully sort that likes to talk about himself. How smart he is.
Oh, yes, he will definitely monologue while we figure out how to escape from his death trap.
Excellent. I will figure this out. Make sure that this happens. That may be the end of it for us, but it will be for a very, very good, very good cause. Because if it is more than disappeared, my brother deserves to be laid to rest.
I'm not gonna lie, if we knock that piece off the table, that'll free up my schedule. But we have to be smart about it.
Well, then it's good you have me and not Arsenio.
Yeah, you'd have left the bathroom on your own by now. I know you would have.
More than likely. Unless, of course, the girls are as annoying. Hey, is that Hestia? And it is. There is never parking within the block of the succubus. The valets from the later in the evening and the people who are showing up to impress with saying that they partied at the succubus or they were seen in line at the succubus was for the vast majority take up the bulk of parking at a block in every direction from the succubus. Yet this evening, Hestia, you managed to make it all the way here. The 3 cars that were circling the shelter, avoiding the sobriety speed stop just south on Sheridan. You managed to avoid trial and trail after trail. There was, thanks to your diligence, that strange little senior following. But other than that, there aren't any issues. You eased to a stop behind Vivi's Kia in front of the girls.
Hestia's been pretty quiet this whole trip. There's a lot going on in their head. Besides watching for trouble, but yeah, they have been pretty quiet the whole trip. And they get out of the car fairly robotically and shut it behind them, nodding to Vivi and Dizzy.
What up, y'all? So this is my BFF, Vivi. This is new girl whose name I don't remember because I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry. She's proggish.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, that. So Vivi says, because she talks to Arsenio, that he is still here for some reason. So we thought maybe we should do something about the thing he's babysitting and maybe extract him from here.
All right.
Nobody left behind. Vivi laughs specifically because of the very carefully constructed couple of town. It is very much the easily identifiable statement that she made, plus so much else pertaining to what lies ahead for you.
That just gets a raised brow. Because, again, that's just why not the fucking cherry on top of the ice cream cone of the evening. Yeah, I suppose. Why not?
And as you all move toward the door to get inside, up the stairs into the elevator, potentially take the stairs all the way to the 4th floor. As you will step out onto the landing, you see Arsenio and Faye in the main living area looking down on the side, keep his feet propped up. This is the first time you've seen Arsenio without shoes and a jacket ever. His shirt untucked and smoking the stickiest of ickiest of wettest doobies. Now this is how you roll a real, holy shit. How y'all doing? End the episode here. I want to thank you all for a lovely session. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks everybody. See you later.
See ya.
See you later.